three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto. This is AZcrypto, MrFOMO. Please hit those like buttons and subscribe buttons and those bells. Please share as much as you can. We've been trying to produce more content. The more followers and subscribers we get, the easier it is for us. So we greatly appreciate anyone that's watching live or anyone that's watching later. We do have some Voyager news. We want to go into great detail about one thing, and that's INX Digital. And MrFOMO, this came across yesterday that INX is claiming to be a serious bidder for the first time. And, you know, we got to be careful of getting too excited, obviously, but there is some things to look at here. And this is from Pat Ackerman. This is a big deal, in my opinion. INX is backed by legacy finance heavy hitters. I've been following them since 2020. I've always thought highly of what they were building. So what are they building? Well, they do have an exchange already. They have what's called the INX token. You can see some of the stuff that's available. Obviously, they have Bitcoin and ETH. They've got Zcash. They've got Litecoin. They've got USDC, which would come in handy. But they don't have the Avalanche here. They do have Sand. You got Mana, so some metaverse stuff. There's some Matic. There's some Link, FTM. Okay, CRV, Aave, Comp. But nothing like Voyager overall, right? All right, it's a start. But you did some more digging, and you do have some serious questions about whether or not they can actually pull this off.
Well, first of all, I mean, the positive about them is that they are FINRA and SEC regulated broker dealer, which is something that I guess we've really been looking for, even though we didn't know it until now. They're a licensed crypto platform in 43 states, and they say that they're going to offer the credibility and regulatory positioning to protect Voyager customers. And I got to believe that, being that they were the first SEC-regulated digital ICO or digital security ICO, and then open to the public in 2021. They started that regulatory process way back in 2019. So all those things are well and good, but when you go to look at their highlights, and let me just go to share here real quick. 2023 Q3 financial highlights: cash and cash equivalents, 25.8 million. That's million, not billion. And an additional 8.7 million in short and long-term investments. Reserve fund maintained at 36 million. And their revenue for Q3 was 1.1 million and a 3.5 million year-to-date revenue. So for me, I don't see it. I don't see it. Based on those numbers, I don't see them having the ability to support a purchase that is over $1 billion. Now, that is unless they are actually backed by some of these legacy financial heavy hitters, as Pat Ackerman called them. And if they are indeed backed by some heavy hitters, then I'd like to see those heavy hitters speak up or throw their weight behind this bid, or, at least CZ is letting us know that he's raising funds and how much he's raising. INX, based on those numbers and based on, what we've heard so far, I don't know that they'll be able to support this. And, I need them to show us what they've got. Who are the venture capitalists behind them? Who are the people that are going to come in with the billions, not millions, the billions to purchase this platform?
I think this is more realistic than Crossover by far, because they've actually produced something. Security token, Cross Tower. That's a Crossover. They've actually produced something, and they've actually gotten something done. And unlike the other, Mickey Mouse, I hate to say Mickey Mouse, but pretenders here, They do have some customers, they do have some volume, but you're right. 1.4 billion is kind of where we need to start to buy the assets. And so far, the only name that we know for sure has that type of funding is Binance. I know
Yes.
Binance scares some people with FTX, but it's not the same thing, right? Someday, could Binance be in trouble? Absolutely. They're tied to Tether, they're tied to BNB, so it's fine. It's fine right now, but Binance has, kind of gotten slapped in the wrist by regulators all over the world. So I get that.
My
Uh,
my concern though is the numbers and Binance. When you look at their valuation and the funding rounds and the money that they've raised, you're talking about money in the billions. And so for me, Binance is a realistic bidder. And until INX comes through and tells us who's backing them on this bid, then I'm not really sure that they are a serious contender.
We're going to find out soon. My hope is the judge can set some dates. I know realistically not a lot's going to get done before the holidays here at the end of December and the new year, but I'm hopeful the judge can set some dates in December so we know when the bids are due, right? And hopefully it would be mid to late January. And hopefully then voting would be in February. And then we can get some traction in October. I think, October. That's long gone. That's a pipe dream. March. Let's hope it's not October, but hopefully in March, maybe we're close to ending this. But again, we don't want to promise you stuff that's a pipe dream. But again,
I think I think realistically, this process started last June. If it ends this June, I'll be that's where I think will be the jump off point for me. That's where I'll be optimistic at.
I think INX at least has done some work with securities. They look like they have a real operation. So I'm not, unlike some of the other companies that have claimed to be in it, I think this is more legitimate. I really do. And we'll have to see who those legacy finance heavy hitters are that are behind them. If they do have the funding, I'll say this. If they can compete with Binance financially, they have a lot of everything else in place. In fact, you didn't say it. Guess what bank they use? You want to tell our audience? Do you remember?
Isn't it Metropolitan, the same one as Voyager?
Yeah, same exact bank as Voyager. Isn't that ironic?
So we'll if they go bankrupt, we'll all know where our USD is coming to us from.
Well, it's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit interesting. And supposedly one of the members of the UCC has had some type of contact before with them. So that's interesting.
Speaking of people making money, did you know Kirkland and Ellis is representing a lot of bankruptcy firms right now? So they are definitely cashing in on these bankruptcies, and I think they're making like 3.5 a month off of Voyager alone. And so if you put that all together, with the three companies that I know they're representing, you're talking about over 150 million in a year process if each one of those processes takes just 1 year. And that's what I think it's going to take for Voyager customers to get back their funds. So if this takes a year, they'll make 54 million off of us, and that takes away from what we are getting back. So
they do have funding for the bankruptcy. For now, it's not affecting us. But if this continues to drag for a longer period of time, then you got to start to worry. Right now, that money is separate, right? That was activated for bankruptcy. So that, just to make sure our audience knows, they're not using our funds right now to pay the lawyers. But, nightmare if this continues longer and longer and longer. At some point, you do run out of funds. We're safe for now. But again,
Steve's still collecting checks. Lawyers
I want to make sure I get this across.
Checks.
The judge needs to get the idea that time is of the essence, right? You can't just rush through and get this done by January. That's never going to happen. But let's have a 3-month plan. Let's get a bidder.
I have no more faith in the judge or anybody really. That's where my faith was really set before, was the judge, hoping that they were doing their due diligence and looking into these companies. But as we saw with FTX, we can't be sure. We're the ones that are going to have to go and do our due diligence. And like this with INX Digital, we showed you the numbers from Q3 and from their yearly revenue. I don't see them being able to support this unless they get some big legacy heavy hitters, like Pat Ackerman said, swooping.
But again, we don't know. We don't know exactly what kind of funding they have. All right. I would hope that they wouldn't put a bid in unless they really were serious about executing and competing with Binance. So
You mean
time
like
will
Cross
tell.
Tower?
Yeah. I already called them a Mickey Mouse organization. Now, if they
Yeah,
win the
well,
bid
I mean,
somehow,
so
I will
really,
come
how
up.
many of those
Hold
are
on.
there?
If they do win the bid, I will apologize across tower. I promise. But
You can eat
again,
my hat.
this is interesting. This to me is a serious bidder. Whether or not they really have the funds to pull it off, we'll see very soon.
That I will say, they're a serious bidder because of their regulatory security, because of the work they've done with the SEC, with FINRA, to go through the process of being a regulated security, regulated digital asset. I think that is where my excitement lies for this company. I don't want people to think that I'm completely down on them. Because of that, I wish that they did show the proper funding to be able to support this type of purchase. That makes me feel safe. But the idea that, I can't see any numbers that show that they could support this type of purchase makes me feel like this is a publicity stunt.
And one last thing, this is unconfirmed, but supposedly as of right now, Binance does have the highest bid. It hasn't been confirmed. That's what the media leaks are saying. So, guys, keep in touch. If anything breaks, we'll be here for you. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. You guys have a great night.